I heard my father before I saw him, that old command voice that once called me to the table as if the whole house were enlisted. It carried across the hall, over uniforms, families, and the soft rustle of programs. "She quit the Navy," he said to someone beside him. Not quietly, like a verdict. "Couldn't take it, but my son, he's built for this." My chest tightened, then went still. Not anger. This was the familiar ache of being reduced to a sentence he could repeat. I let the sound pass through me, like rain sliding off an old coat. I stayed where I'd placed myself. Back row, slightly off-center. Hands folded, face calm. Civilian blazer, plain slacks. No rank, no ribbons. To everyone else, I was just another middle-aged woman here for family, easy to overlook. The stage was flags and shine. The air smelled of starch and floor wax. Pride sat in every chair, contained and careful. On the floor, my brother, Jordan Hale, stood with the candidates, eyes forward, jaw set. Training had carved him down to focus. I was here for him, because I'd promised myself my father's certainty wouldn't decide what kind of sister I became. The band finished, and a command brought the crowd to attention. We rose, sat, and the quiet settled deep enough that I heard my own breath. Then the general stepped in, moving with the steady ease of someone who'd carried responsibility for decades. He spoke about discipline, about service that doesn't need an audience, and his gaze traveled the rows. When his eyes reached the back, they stopped on me, no surprise, only recognition. He adjusted the microphone, paused, and said, "Before we continue, Rear Admiral Mercer," he said, calm as breath. "You're here." For a heartbeat, the hall didn't understand. Then the candidates section rose as one, chairs murmuring, boots aligning, a disciplined tide of respect. Not loud, just absolute. I stood a moment later, slow and deliberate, no smile, no performance. Admiral Rourke nodded to me. I returned it, and the ceremony rolled on. Behind me, my father locked up. Frank Hale's face went pale, his mouth parting as if a word had died there. My mother, Marilyn, stared at me like she'd been holding her own question for years. On the floor, Jordan's gaze broke forward focus for a sliver and found the back row. His brow tightened, trying to reconcile me with the family story he'd grown up inside. Names were called, pins placed. Applause came in careful bursts. When dismissal finally arrived, the room loosened. Families surging forward, phones raised, relief spilling into laughter. I waited until the first rush passed. A couple of officers paused, offered quick handshakes. "Ma'am?" Then they were gone. Jordan reached me near the exit, still sharp in his dress uniform. "Is it true?" he asked. "Yes." He blew out a breath. "Why didn't I know?" "Because I couldn't tell you, and after a while I stopped trying to correct Dad." He looked past me toward our parents, then back. "I'm glad you came," he said, and hugged me, short, firm, sincere. "So am I," I told him. "Today is yours." Through the glass doors, I saw Frank still rooted among strangers, and I kept walking. Outside, sunlight struck my watch face like a flare. My phone buzzed. "Marilyn, are you okay?" I typed back. "I'm fine. Call tonight." I didn't look back until I was in my car, the hall shrinking behind me. The steering wheel felt cool under my palms, and I held on like it could anchor my insides. In the hotel, I called my mother. "He's at the kitchen table," she said. "He hasn't moved." "I'll come tomorrow," I told her. "Tell him I'm safe." Frank called near midnight. His voice sounded unfamiliar without its edge. "I didn't know," he said. "You didn't ask," I replied. A shaky breath. "I told people you quit. I said it like fact." "You filled the blank because silence bothered you," I said. "You liked the story better than the question." He didn't argue. "I was wrong," he said. "I'm sorry." The next evening, I walked into the same house, the same porch light, the same smell of dinner. My mother hugged me once and stepped back. We ate, circling Jordan's ceremony, his plans, the weather. Halfway through, Frank set down his fork. "What did you do?" he asked. "Not secrets, just the shape." I kept it clean. I served where being quiet kept people safe. I planned, moved resources, made decisions that weren't meant for stories. He nodded slowly. I'm proud of you, he said, and let the sentence end. He rubbed the table's edge. When people ask, he said, what do I tell them? Tell them your daughter served, I answered. Nothing else. Let that be enough. He nodded once. Enough, he repeated, and didn't look away. At the door he cleared his throat. I won't tell that story again. Good, I said. Then softer, thank you. Driving away, I felt something unclench. Not victory, just truth, finally allowed to live with us.